So while I have a little bit of daylight left, I wanted to go ahead and film this video. So it's gonna be a chit chat, get ready with me, that's why I look like this. Today I'm gonna be talking about why I quit my job, and it's the job I mentioned in Vlogmas that I had an interview for. It was at a dog boarding facility. I'm not gonna name the company or anything because I don't want to, get charged for slander or anything, but I am going to be sharing my experience and my story working there and why I quit. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my glasses because I can't do anything with those on. And I'm going to start with my primer. I try to do as cruelty-free as possible, vegan when I can, but some things are just I haven't found good dupes for, or they're cheap and I can't afford the alternative. But a good vegan and cruelty-free primer that I really do like is the Wet n Wild one, specifically the Dewy Finish or something like that. They were just, Walgreens was just out of it when I went. So yeah, basically I got this job in February and it was all fine and dandy. I worked through the winter and it was fine. It got really cold, so my job basically was I got hired for every other weekend, and that was my position, and then they needed me more, so I started working during the week, which was fine. It wasn't what I was hired for, but it was fine at the time, and I say at the time. So use this. I started working during the week, so I was working 2 part-time jobs while going to college. And at first that was fine, and then I got busy, so I had to start rearranging my schedule, and I had schedule conflicts when I first started doing this job during the week, obviously, because I worked 2 jobs, and that became an issue with them, and that should have been my first red flag. Like, obviously, it should have been an issue in the future when I was on the schedule for longer during the week, you know what I'm saying? But that immediately became an issue, so I had to talk with my manager about that. We had a meeting with that, and seemingly all was fine and dandy, and then just things started happening, and I wasn't happy at this job anymore. It felt like more of a burden than anything else, than something I would want to spend my time doing. And I'm very privileged and blessed that I have the opportunity that I could leave this job and still afford my lifestyle, because I'm very fortunate to have another job that I love dearly and that pays well. So my main issue with this place is, 1, how the manager treats the dogs, and I look ridiculous, and 2, how they treat their employees, i.e. me, or it used to be me. So basically, my manager, this bothers me to a T because I am a pet owner. Obviously, you've seen Allie on my channel before. So it just started out with her dogs, and I can't tell her how to discipline her dogs as badly as I wanted to, but then it started progressing with other people's dogs. So she would, if anything that was in her hand, which is typically a kennel leash, which is just a slip leash or slip lead, where it's a loop at the end, and the more the dog pulls, the more it tightens on their throat. It's just the easiest lead to have at a kennel or veterinary office, because it doesn't require a collar. But she would hit dogs in the faces with those, or she would throw tennis balls at them, or she would hit them with a chuck-it stick. If you don't know what a chuck-it stick is, it's just one of those sticks that you throw a tennis ball with, so you don't have to get your hands all nasty touching the dog slobber tennis ball. Or she'd kick them, or she would hit them with her hand. And I had an issue with that, but I didn't feel like it was my place to say anything because she was my superior. And granted, I could have possibly taken it up with the owner, but then again, I didn't want to cost somebody their job, even if that could have been a possibility at all. I highly doubt they would have fired her, but I didn't want to risk it because she has other responsibilities outside of work she needs to take care of, and I didn't feel like it was my place. I didn't personally do that. None of the other employees did that because we all felt as though it was wrong, obviously. So that was that, and that was my first issue that I noticed. And then it got to the point of her just not caring about cleaning up. So when I had to work with the owner of our business actually one day. It was a weekend, and the person I was scheduled to work with had other requirements, and that was fine. But the owner really saw how badly the place was being taken care of, and I didn't know a lot of the answers to her questions because I hadn't been working there a very long time yet. So and I also wasn't trained properly, I learned later on, because she just, you know, when you start at a new place and the manager trains you how to correctly do things, and then later the employees teach you how they actually do things. Well, the manager didn't teach me the correct way. She just taught me the easy way, the bad, doesn't really get stuff done way. And I'm not a person who does things halfway if I know the correct way to do them, because you're just gonna have to go back later and do it the correct way anyways just to get the job done, and that's just not the kind of person I am. So when I worked with the owner, she saw how poorly I'd been trained and how badly the place was being taken care of, and I didn't get reprimanded for it because it wasn't my fault, obviously. And I think that's where her issues with me started. And I get it, not everybody's gonna work well together, but if you are my superior and you have an issue with me because of something that you're doing wrong, that's where I have an issue. So breathe that in. Let me do this and then talk. I think that's where her issues with me had started, and it just progressively got worse from there. Granted, I wasn't always doing like the best job I could do, and I wasn't always in the right, don't get me wrong. I'm just telling this part of the story to keep it interesting, but it really just wasn't a good place to work either. So what really was the final straw for me was I got bit, right? And I'll show you where I got bit in a minute, and I'll show you pictures of right when it happened and the dog that bit me. Actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I'm going to anyways until I get in trouble. But it was a pit bull, and I want to own a pit bull in the future. This does not deter me from wanting to own a pit bull in the future. But this particular pit bull had not been socialized, and any dog that hasn't been socialized is a dangerous, or could be potentially dangerous dog, because they don't know how to behave with other dogs or humans. And I'm pretty sure this dog was possibly abused in its past, or it's just, I think also it was bad breeding, bad genetics on the breeder's part, because he is a purebred pit bull. So I'm pretty sure they got him from a breeder or a backyard breeder or something like that. But that's just speculation. My manager, to her credit, the last time they boarded, had told them that this dog should not board because he's a very nervous, very anxious dog. And typically we like to have dogs that, you know, aren't threatening to us and are willing to play with other dogs. We do have separate runs for dogs who just don't simply get along with other dogs but are friendly to, you know, their siblings and other humans. But this dog, at first, I wasn't threatened by this dog at first, because I'm the first person to go into a kennel and try to make friends with a dog. So when I first met this dog, I had a treat in my hand, that way he could associate me with something positive. And I sat down in his kennel with him, and I saw him back into a corner and his ears tucked behind him, and he just got really stiff. So I read his body language and I respected it, and I said, okay, I'll see you later. And I got out of his kennel. That way he could see that I respected his boundaries. Because when a dog could be potentially dangerous, I listen to them. I let them be in charge in those kind of situations, because it's dangerous to not to. So I did my best to make friends with this dog, and it wasn't happening. So I would go into the run, and one day we noticed that he liked to play fetch, because we were throwing a tennis ball out of the big play yard and putting it into a smaller play yard where they were. And he chased after it and, you know, was throwing it around in his mouth like he knows how to play fetch, you know what I'm saying? So I went in there, I was gonna play fetch with him, and he got really happy, really excited, and that's when I got bit, actually. So it could be perceived as partially my fault because I was playing with him when he is a possibly dangerous dog, but we didn't perceive him as a threat at this point. So that's when I got bit, was when I was playing with him, and it's a pretty nasty bite, I'm not gonna lie. And they didn't do anything about it. It looked nasty when I first got bit. It looked nasty the day after. It looks nasty now. I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon. He didn't break skin in a lot of places. He only broke skin in 2 places, but you can clearly see the definition of the bite marks, and it's bruised pretty badly, almost all the way around my arm. And I had to ask for antiseptic, and we didn't even have antiseptic. We had alcohol like pads. So, and they didn't even have bandages. So I did my best to get like all the dirt and saliva out of the wound so it wouldn't get infected. And as soon as work ended, yes, I had to wait until work ended to go get medical supplies, but whatever. After work ended, I went and got, like witch hazel, and I already had like peroxide and alcohol at home to clean it with, and I got bandages because I was out, and an antibiotic ointment, which I've learned actually isn't the best. I would look into that though. So, and I also took an antibiotic. That way I wouldn't get infected if the dog's mouth wasn't clean. All of our dogs have to be up to date on their vaccinations. So that wasn't really a huge concern, but getting bit, getting scratched is always at risk for infection because dogs put some nasty things in their mouths, they step on some nasty things. So there's always risk for infection. So I went ahead and took an antibiotic as well, but they didn't offer me I don't have insurance. They didn't offer to send me to the doctor or the emergency room. It wasn't really emergency room worthy, but that's just where most people go in situations like this to get in, hopefully get out, or like a little clinic or something like that. Nothing like that was offered to me. Workers' comp was not offered to me, which I didn't think was a big deal, but my mom was really mad about it. And in hindsight, I'm kind of upset about it as well, because if it had been any worse, would they have done anything about it then? I don't think so. So the next day I'm at work. This is actually hard to talk about because it scares me a lot. I've never been scared of a dog until this moment in my life. I'm a dog lover, I'm an animal lover, but I've never been scared of a dog until this moment. And I think what led up to this was me playing with him, giving him that confidence, because a scared dog isn't always a dangerous dog. It's when the scared dog gets confidence is when they're dangerous. So what happened was I was in the big play yard with all the big dogs, and we'd already had another fight that day in between a different pit bull and a bloodhound, and I had to break that up. Now, in fights like that, it's very dangerous to stick your hand in there, so that is when it could be appropriate to like use your knees, use your feet to separate them, because it's better to get bit in your lower extremities than your upper extremities that you use more often, if that makes sense. So I broke up that fight without help from my manager. She just once the fight was broken up, she moved the pit bull to a different run. That's all she did. But I had broken up that fight, and it was nasty. The bloodhound had a gash across his throat, and nothing was really done about that other than telling the owner. But later on that day, I was still in the big play yard, and the pit bull that had bit me had attacked his sister. So I had gone in there and was going to leash him and put him in his kennel so he could cool off, chill out, because obviously the day had gotten the best of him and he needed to be alone. So I went to leash him. God, I wish I'd taken pictures of my apron. I went in there to leash him, and at first he didn't show very aggressive body language. but he was just barking at me, which I was used to. But he started to lunge at me and bark at me at the same time and nip. And that's when I got a little scared, because when a 95 pound pit bull starts lunging, barking, growling, snarling at you, you get a little scared for your life, you know what I'm saying? So I was in the middle of the run. I wouldn't say small, it's a decent sized run. I'm not good at numbers, so I'm not even going to try to estimate the measurements of it, but it's a pretty decent sized run, and I was in the middle of it with these two dogs. And I started backing up, you know, because I didn't want to like turn my back towards him, and that's when he was going to bite me. So I kept facing him, but it's hard to walk to the gate when you can't see where you're going. And mind you, I was outside by myself. Typically we always have two people working for safety reasons, is what I was told, but when the other person you're working with has to be inside the whole time cleaning, there's no use, because it's soundproof in there, because it's an old recording studio, so they couldn't hear me yell anyways, which I was yelling because I was terrified. But he backed me into the fence and was still lunging and barking, even though I was obviously in a submissive state. He didn't care at that point. And so I was backed into the fence, and I was, you know, shimmying my way along the fence the best I could with him still going for my thighs. And I'd made it to the gate, and I was trembling. I've never trembled or shook from fear like that in my life. So I was trying to get the gate open. It's one that it's a straight bar that's attached to the gate, and then there's a little flip up. So the bar comes into the flip up, and then you flip it up to get the bar out to exit. And I couldn't even do that. And I was screaming at this dog, and never once did I hit this dog, but I was screaming, like I was screaming his name. I was like, just let me out, let me go, doing that. And finally I got my hand on the lock, and he grabbed a hold of my apron in his mouth and started like pulling on it, and he ripped 2 holes with his teeth in my apron, because we have to wear aprons at work. But he did rip 2 holes in my apron. It was like right here, so he would have gotten my thigh had I not been wearing an apron. And so I went inside. Actually, I texted my manager to let her know to only let our trainer handle this dog from now on, because we do have a trainer on site, and he has gone through extensive dog training where he has to have been bitten by dogs before to be certified or whatever. That's just what he told us. So I was like, only let him handle this dog from now on. And I went and found the trainer to tell him as well, like, you should only be the one to handle this dog. He just tried to attack me, and had I not gotten out when I did, he would have bitten me again. So he wanted me to go back in there and show him what happened. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Sorry. I value not having puncture wounds in my body, sir. So he went in there and he did the same thing to him. And then he made my coworker go in there as well, because at that point my coworker had showed up to help my manager, because it was the end of my shift. It was time for me to go. So, and he did the same thing with her, even though she was the one he trusted most up until this point. And again, nothing was done besides, you know, her and the manager only handling him from now on. But nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody asked, you know, what exactly had happened. None of that. Plus, like, working 2 jobs and going to college is very, 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 very hard, very stressful, on top of trying to do YouTube, which I haven't uploaded in like 2.5 months, so I can't really say that anymore. But it's just, it's a lot, and on top of it not paying well enough for me to deal with stuff like this, and stuff like this even happening. Also, I got written up like a week and a half before this happened for minuscule, stupid things that shouldn't have even been a write-up. Like, a dog had gotten a bug bite on her face, and the owners called my manager and was like, yeah, it looked like she got attacked. Why weren't we told about this? That was one of the reasons I got written up. And another one was the weekend before, it was Memorial Day weekend, and the washing machine gets clogged a lot with dog hair, obviously. So ours would get clogged at home, in my childhood home, with our hair. And the way to fix that, there's like this, it's like a lever or whatever in the washing machine. When you close the lid, it pushes in that lever and it causes the water to start to fill up and the water to drain later on. And we would sit on it so it would, you know, fill up and drain. And the washing machine at work had filled up fine, but it wasn't draining. It had been stuck on the same amount of time for like half an hour, 30 minutes. So I had done majority of the cleaning that I needed to do. Allie's snoring. Allison. But I was sitting on top of the washing machine so it would drain. And there's nothing for me else to do up there. Allie! So I was on my phone. And that was the reason I got written up. Like, what else was I supposed to do up there? There was no towels to fold, otherwise I would have been folding towels while I was up there. But that was another reason. So, like, it was just one thing on top of the other, plus me not enjoying this job, me not enjoying who I worked for. I only liked one of my coworkers, and then another coworker that had just gotten hired a few weeks ago was trying to start drama with me, and I'm really not a drama llama, you know what I'm saying? I like to do my job, go home. I'm not there to make friends. I'm not there to hear the tea. I'm here to do my job, get paid, go home. So I really wasn't about that either. So one thing on top of the other, you can probably see my bite right now. One thing on top of the other, I put in my 2 weeks, and today was my last day. So it's because they didn't want me to work the full last 2 weeks. I only really had to work a couple days after I put in my 2 weeks, which is fine with me, girl, not complaining. And I really didn't even want to do a 2 weeks notice. I really just wanted to quit, but I didn't want, you know, it looks better if you try to get another job later on that you put in 2 weeks. It makes you look more reliable. So that's the only reason I did that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show you the bite. I'm done with my makeup. I'm not gonna wear lipstick. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So I'll show you the bite right now. So this is what it looks like now. You can see the teeth marks right here. Then it goes all the way down my elbow, and I will insert a picture. I don't know if this is getting washed out or not. It is in the healing phase. It is turning very, very yellow. So I will insert a picture when it happened, and then a couple days or the day after or whatever that it happened. So yeah, that is why I quit my job. I just want to do a little life update, make a video, because I haven't talked to you guys in a really long time. So do expect more content coming, because I do start my summer class tomorrow. So I do want to do a summer classes week in my life or something like that, day in my life, couple of days in my life, something like that. And a couple more videos I've started to plan, so get excited. But yeah, to end this video, I want to do a little bit of advice. If a job doesn't appreciate you enough to take care of you, don't stress over a job that is willing to replace you in a second. Because if you could easily find another job, I sounded very privileged saying it just how I did before. If you can afford to leave this job that you are in, that you do not enjoy, that does not appreciate you, and you have another job lined up, or you just don't need this job, period, because I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough I have another job. Leave that job if you're able to. Start looking at other jobs. There's always websites that will have updated job lists that are available. Local libraries are open like 8 to 5, 9 to 5, something like that. If you don't have a computer at home, most community colleges have a computer lab if you don't have a computer at home. To apply for jobs, call to places, see who's hiring, go meet with the manager face to face before an interview. Do whatever you have to do to get out of that situation that doesn't appreciate you, because it's not worth it. It's not worth the mental strain that you and I had to go through, girl. Just do what you have to do to be happier, to have that mental clarity, because once I left the premises of that job today, I felt so much better. And the few coworkers I got along with there, hope you still like it, hope you don't miss me too much. But it was a learning experience, and I'm still thankful for that job, because I got it when I needed it, and it helped me learn a lot of things. It helped me learn the lesson of how to leave a job that I don't like and that doesn't appreciate me, because without this experience I wouldn't know how to do that if I needed to in the future. And it taught me a lot about myself and how I handle situations and what kind of worker I really am, because I've been lucky enough. My first job was a camp counselor at a summer camp, and then the job I have now, I do have a superior, but I'm an independent contractor. I work for myself, basically. So it taught me what it's like to work with coworkers again and have a true manager again, what it's like to go to one place every single day, or almost every single day, and have a set schedule that comes out at the end of a month. So yeah, it taught me a lot about what kind of worker I am in those kind of environments, because I am a very dedicated, very hard worker, and it just taught me a lot, and I'm thankful for that experience, but I'm also very thankful to be out of it and that I was able to get out of it. So with that being said, hope you enjoy this video, and thank you for watching. Links will be in the description for job hiring websites and things like that. So hope you have a good day, and thank you for watching.